What's going on, everybody? You're listening to this week's episode of the Sports Scramble podcast brought to you by Belly Up Media. I'm your host, Chet, and I've got Tyler with me, and we got two special guests with us. We've got Rob and Rick from the Brothers Brandt Podcast. How are y'all doing?
We're doing great. Thanks for having us on, fellas.
Doing awesome. Excited to be here.
Yeah, glad for y'all to join us. Rob and I kind of linked up in our Belly Up secret Slack channel that no one else has access to, and just started talking. So we got to get on a show together and just tell some stories. He's got the Masters gear behind him. I think I see some waste management.
Yes.
And Rick must have known we were LSU fans because he's got the LSU pullover on for everybody watching on YouTube. So glad we were able to kind of get on. And we were just talking before the show about football games and football stadiums, and y'all have gotten into just some crazy stuff. If you over there on, I think it's on Rob's TikTok that I've seen it, where it just you're telling stories. It's crazy. So if y'all want to,
Robbie B Sports.
Exactly. I was like, let me check out this guy's TikTok. Some of them got millions of views. I was like, man, they're making it big time, sneaking into some of these games. So
that's the funny part about all this is when we were your guys' age in our early 20s, we weren't married, we didn't have any kids, and we wanted to go see sporting events. And it all started back in 2013 for us. We loved the movie Field of Dreams. If you guys have ever seen it with Kevin Costner, it's actually our favorite movie of all time. And it's a little corny and cheesy, but when I say corny, no pun intended. It's out in a small city called Dyersville, Iowa. The last couple of years, they've partnered with Major League Baseball to have a game out there, which has just been an absolute home run. Again, no pun intended.
Right.
And
I think last year they had like 9 home runs hit in the game, and a walk-off home run won the game.
How cool is it?
Yeah.
Just
like couldn't script it, and the players came out of the cornfield.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah.
So we grew up in New Jersey, and Dyersville, Iowa is about 13 hours away from where we were living. And
so
we
no closer than where we are now.
Yeah, just a tad bit, a tad bit. And we were like, we got to go out there, but we'd be out of our minds to drive 13 straight hours, throw the ball around, and then drive 13 hours back. Like, who does that? So we were like, maybe we could stop off and see some sporting events along the way. And so we kind of looked at the schedules, and we were just like, what are the main ones in that route through the Midwest? You got Wrigley Field, you got Lambeau Field, Notre Dame. And so we looked at like early September, which is a great time to do a sports road trip for all your listeners out there. That's the best, at least in our opinion, because you can go see college football at the beginning of the season. Everybody's optimistic. The energy is high. Nobody's out of it yet. And then
lost 4 straight games, and you're done. So it's only 1 or 2 into the season.
Exactly. And the NFL season's just getting started as well. But then you've also got Major League Baseball postseason push kind of happening, which is and the weather during that time of the year is beautiful around the country.
It's perfect.
So we went online, we found out all the schedules, and we did it, guys. We did a 10 days trip and saw 10 games. Each day we saw a different game amongst the MLB, NFL, and college football. And it was an insane trip. We were exhausted by the end of it. But we also had such an incredible time that we said to ourselves, man, we got to do this again. And so every fall, basically, we started just like game planning and saving up. And we didn't have a lot of money. We did it on a shoestring budget. And
we didn't say, Rick, let me jump in here real quick. Well, for your listeners out there, I'll explain something too about the games that we went to. And that's why we're on this podcast, right? It's not just like we go to a bunch of games and then that's it. And then we move on to other ones. So,
right.
But, we would buy home team swag of all the places that we were going. We'd go on eBay and buy $10 t-shirts and $5 hats from like the 80s or 90s, some of this swag we had. And that was like all we wore. And we just wore the home team swag. And what we would do was we would buy the cheapest tickets we could possibly buy, like $25, $40 tickets to things. Some like the Tigers, Detroit Tigers was like $8 for a ticket.
Jeez.
And we would get there really early, and we actually have it down to a science. We would get there really early as soon as the gates open, have a lot of confidence, a lot of swagger, and we would disregard where our seat was, and we would just get as close as we could to the field for every single sporting event we got onto. Some of them we actually ended up on the field.
Wow.
We've never been, knock on wood, kicked out of an event.
Yeah, they just ask you, excuse me, sir, that's not your seats. We're going to need you to go back.
They're like, how the hell did you get down here? Is like,
Right.
and then we tell them actually how we got down there, and then it's hilarious. And they, more often than not, they find it funny, but they still kick us back to our regular seat.
Right.
And then going back to the budget thing, we were 23, 24 at the time. So we had a lot of friends, like little brothers that were still in college. So we were like couch surfing at like colleges and like all the different areas. We didn't spend a dime on hotels.
Fun fact, we've actually never stayed in a hotel on any of our sports road trips.
Wow, that's crazy.
I think that might be more impressive than the actual sports road trip.
We did go into one hotel, and that was in St. Louis, but that was just to take a bath in their pool.
Oh my God.
True story.
I wish I was exaggerating, but Rob brought the shampoo. I brought the toothpaste. And at 7:00 in the morning in a Holiday Inn St. Louis hotel,
man was brushing his teeth in the deep end.
Nice. I actually heard from a traveling salesman friend of mine that said whenever he's on the road, he doesn't stop at gas stations to use the bathroom. He goes into a hotel and just walks in, acts like he's staying there, uses the bathroom in the lobby, and walks out. 100%. 9 times out of 10, they're nicer than the gas station bathrooms. So.
That's true.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
It's all about confidence. So I mean, that's what I was trying to think. I was like, man, where have I snuck into that would even compare to some of these guys' stories? I don't have many close, but last year, I don't know if y'all are familiar with the Houston Rodeo and Cook-Off. It's like the World Championship Cook-Off thing.
Yeah,
big deal in Houston. Big deal. I had never been, and I was like, well, let's go. And we knew some people going, and it turns out you had to have tickets to get in. I didn't know that. I showed up at the hotel where everybody was staying, got on a private shuttle, tipped my cowboy hat to the driver, got in, and they drove us to the back gate. And I just walked in, and people were paying for tickets. I was like, oh, this is cool. I'm out here eating world-class barbecue, free drinks everywhere. I was like, hey, just a little bit of confidence takes you a long way.
You did it. Congrats. You did it.
It sounds like you dressed the part, though. And that's a big part of it.
Yeah. Cowboy hat gets you far in Houston.
Anywhere in Houston.
Yeah, looking like you belong, and going back to how we did all this was, showing up early really helps out because you can maneuver around the stadiums. And then you can meet people and security guards, you can just talk to them and chop it up and stuff because they're kind of relaxed compared to when 80,000 people are in there and they're heads hospitable. And then dressing the part too. We started by buying just t-shirts, and then Rick went to Alabama, and that's the one on TikTok that got 1.2 million views and totally blew up. And Rick walked in with the team, and
that is insane.
And he decided
Lane Kiffin was the offensive coordinator at the time, and him and I were shoulder to shoulder, and he was just can't believe this, looking around at the crowd, and I was like, yeah, man, I can't believe this either.
Never get used to it.
But never get used to this. Never gets easy, man. But. And then Rick, he went online and bought a tuxedo on this website for $99. And then he bought Gators, fake Gator shoes for $20. And then we just
classing it up.
We just started doing that for all these road trips we were going on. We were like, what's the home team's main colors?
Right.
LSU, we have a yellow tuxedo with a purple inside vest, right? And then purple Gators.
Our closets look like a rainbow.
I bet you, y'all need to go to New Orleans for Mardi Gras. You'll fit in just fine at all the festivities down there with all those crazy colored suits.
Yes, sir.
So that's so did y'all decide to start a podcast just to tell your stories from that, or did you have something kind of going on when you were going into all of these? Because I know a lot of people got bit with the podcasting bug, I guess, around COVID or so, when people really started, podcasting. Boom. But did y'all start before that and kind of were like, hey, we want to tell our stories and hope the security guards aren't listening?
No, that's a good question. We started back now over a decade ago doing these sports road trips and just over time, like the stories just became more outrageous after another.
Right.
And if we didn't have the photos to back it up, you'd almost be like, this stuff's not real. There's no way that these guys did what they said they did. And then we had the photos and the videos. And so all of our buddies and friends for years now have been like, you guys got to share your stories. You got to write it in a book. You got to do something.
A book would be amazing. That thing would be
read
probably bestseller.
So it's funny. We do a little picture book after all of our road trips, like the Shutterfly kind of thing.
Right.
And those books are pretty darn epic. But yeah, publishing something wouldn't be a bad idea either.
Yeah. So during COVID, we were just like, hey, why don't we make a podcast? And I'm friends with Robbie Berger, Brilliantly Dumb. So I've known him for a long time now. He's from North Jersey. We're from Central Jersey. And he was starting to blow up on just his podcast. Brilliantly Dumb was blowing up after the first 20, 30 episodes. So he kind of guided me into how to do that. And then we've just been telling our stories since COVID.
The big thing for us was like we couldn't go to sporting events. Nobody could. So there was a year plus where everybody was just at home, had to watch on TV, really couldn't get that experience because we wanted to inspire others to go to live sporting events with the people that they love. That's really the core premise for.
That's a mission statement for the Brothers Brandt Podcast right there.
That's what we want to do. And that's why we do this is because we love spending time with each other and just you can't replace being at a live sporting event versus being at home on your couch. I mean, that's great. Sure. But being at the game when the stadium's rocking, that electricity, there's nothing better.
Yeah, no, that's why we started our show was, like I said, Tyler and I were roommates and our other co-host Wade, he was our third roommate. And then the fourth one, Jacob, who's sick tonight. We went to high school with him. So he just kind of stayed in touch in college. And I mean, we would sit in our apartment. We had probably 8 couches. So everybody would come over to watch the sporting events and you'd sit there and watch sports and just talk sports all the time. And then once we all graduated and went our separate ways, I was like, man, I miss talking with these guys. So I was like, let's start a podcast and just talk about sports and tell stories. And I mean, what y'all are doing when you're traveling to all the places, that's definitely on the bucket list. We're going to plan a trip, Tyler, and we're going to get these two guys' inputs on where to go, what to wear, how to get in, and make sure it all happens.
100%, guys. Would love to help you out. You guys do a great job with your podcast, the production, the belly up media connection. Great job by you guys just building out this.
Yeah, Belly Up has also got just a lot of connections with people all around the country. So next time y'all take a trip, you could probably just start calling people within the network and they can get you in places. You got places to stay. It's pretty cool.
And it's kind of fun. It's actually the sporting events are awesome. And Rick and I have such amazing memories, but it's kind of fun having those memories of crashing on people's couches that you were buddies with and just reconnecting with. And those are some funny stories. Rick and I stayed at a friend of a friend's place who we didn't even really know, the Boyds, Rick. And he wasn't even there. The friend of the friend wasn't there. And it was his parents' place. And his parents let us in at 11 o'clock at night after a Kansas City Royals game. And then woke us up the next morning at 6 a.m. with a 5-course breakfast.
Wow.
And they were just we want to make food for you guys. So they made us bacon and grits and biscuits and Rick was so tired. I literally go over and grab him. I go, Rick, wake your ass up.
These people are being hospitable to us. You need to wake up.
5-star breakfast down there. Get your ass down there.
Yeah, this or the Taco Bell on the way to the next game.
And sometimes that's what you got to do. You got to swing into the local spot, grab a little bite, and keep going. Yeah. I'll think of.
Did you just call the Boyds a local spot? It was their house. It was their residence.
No.
Sounds like they could have opened up a diner with what they were cooking.
Yeah, they could have.
So there was this one day, and we've done a lot of great sporting trips, and it was always 10 games in 10 days. And I think it was back in 2017. We had planned a trip, and we always tried to pick different areas of the country, West Coast, Midwest, you name it. And this one year, we picked the Southeast. And so we wanted to go, this was the biggest trip we've ever done, 12 games in 9 days.
Wow. So you got 2 a day one of those times.
Well, actually, it's funny. The first day of the trip was a triple header. So ready?
Jeez.
And guys, the next day we took off because we were so exhausted.
Yeah.
I imagine so.
But this day goes down in the Hall of Fame record books as like one of the greatest ever. We went to Clemson's home opener.
Okay.
They just won the national championship the year before. We hung out with Dabo Sweeney and his mom before the game on the field. Great time. Awesome experience.
Well,
You
Rick,
had is
Rick,
crazy.
go through the games and then we'll actually tell the whole story because we got to tell the whole story.
Fair enough. Orange
Yeah.
tuxedos. We leave that game and then we drive down to Athens to go to the Georgia home opener inside
Wow.
the hedges. Inside, we wore red tuxedos on the field again with the athletic director. And then from that game, we actually did leave in like the third quarter of the Georgia game. They were crushing App State because we had to get to Atlanta for that year's Chick-fil-A kickoff classic between Alabama and FSU in Atlanta at the new Mercedes-Benz Stadium there.
Mhm.
So we did 3 games in 3 days. And the third game, we were dressed in our crimson Alabama suits on the field with Marlins man, who has become a friend of ours
Right.
and basically an idol for all sports fans.
So, go on.
So do y'all have any? Did y'all buy tickets to get into these games, or you just show up early and like, let's see if we can just kind of walk into the gate? Okay, so you're getting into the stadium at
Yeah.
least, and then
So-
you're figuring it out.
So I'll tell that we have to tell them like the Clemson, at least the Clemson story in that day, because that day is epic. And so we flew in on the games on Saturday. We flew in on Thursday. We had a friend of a friend that we crashed with at their place in
Okay.
Clemson. He was a student at the time, so it was a friend of a friend. Had no idea who we were.
Hey, these 2 random guys are going to stay on your couch and go to the
Yeah.
Clemson game
Yeah,
tomorrow.
exactly. Our boy from home calls him up and just goes, "Yo, I got these 2 guys. They're crashing on your couch for like 3 days, whether you like it or not." And so we stayed there for Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday we were out. So we were there for 2 days, and we get there and we do a campus tour on Friday, a self-guided one, if that,
Right.
and just kind of get the lay of the land. And then on Friday or on Saturday, we start our day super early. So the game's at 12 o'clock, but we're in our tuxedos. We're over at the stadium at 8 in the morning, just doing our thing, 4 hours, 5 hours. I think it was like 7:30, 8 in the morning. We were already there.
Already tailgating, ready to go.
Already tailgating, walking around. And like there was a lot of people in the RV park, but there wasn't like so much tailgating going on. So we were walking around and we see this broadcasting setup that they have for like local TV and radio, and nobody's there like standing there. It's just like the broadcast booth, kind of like Home Depot does their game day, but a
Right.
localized version. And Rick and I just walked right up in our orange tuxedos. We got Clemson, lapel pins and all that stuff. Go Tigers, and different Tiger, but and I grab like the person that's doing the interviewing after they were on like a commercial, and I say, "Hey, can we tell our story?" And they're like, "What's your story?" And we're like, "We're going to 12 games, 9 days." So we get on this little broadcast, and this kicked things off. Long story, but kicked things off. And we tell the story about we're going to 12 games in 9 days. We're dressed in all these tuxedos, and we thought nobody was listening, but everybody in the RV park was listening and like had it on TVs. So like we left and we were like, "Oh, that was kind of cool." We got a picture with like the national championship ring that they won the year before.
Right.
And we make our way to the RV park, and we are like legends. Like people are giving us beer, Jello shots. They're just like, "You guys are going to 12 games, 9 days. You go to 3 games today. What? That's crazy." So like we're being treated like royalty in this RV park. And then right next to the stadium, RV parking area. And then we're walking around the stadium, and all of a sudden this woman comes up to me, and she's got it like an orange blouse on, white pants. And she goes, "Oh my God, I love y'all's suits. Those are awesome. I got to get a picture with y'all." And I was like, "Yeah, sounds good." And we just held the national championship ring. So I know what it looks like.
Right.
And we put our arm around her, and I see that she has it on like her necklace. And I go, "Wow, that's really cool. How'd you get the national championship ring on your necklace?" And she goes, "My son gets it for me every time they go." I go, "Who's your son?" "Dabo."
Oh my God.
Dabo's mom wanted a picture with us. So we got a picture with her. And then it's still like, it's probably 10 o'clock at that point, 9:30. The team's just starting to arrive. So they have the Tiger Walk or the Walk of Champions.
Yeah.
And we go all the way to the front where the buses like let the players off. And we're having a great time. They're playing like Jump Around the music. The place is packed. It's buzzing. And all of a sudden, a state trooper grabs me and my brother on our shoulders. And I'm like, oh, shit, what did I do? Like, was I in the wrong spot?
Right.
And he goes, I love y'all's energy and your suits. You guys are going to be the welcoming committee for Dabo and the team when they come out.
Oh, my
Holy
gosh.
cow.
Literally, the state trooper's behind us with his aviators and like, a badass hat on. Like back standing behind us and letting us just like jump around and have a great time as the team's coming off the bus. And we get a picture with Dabo as soon as he comes off the bus, and we're like, Dabo, we're just hanging out with your mom. He's like, all right, cool, man. Like, we got a game.
That is crazy.
And then the team goes in, and Rick and I are like, all right, well, shit. Like, we didn't walk with the team in. We just let them do their thing, and then we walked towards the stadium, and we got our nosebleed ticket scanned. And then Rick, you can kind of tell them like what happens from here, because this was pretty hilarious.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to top that, but I'll do my best here, fellas.
It's pretty good, yeah.
All right, so stadium, filing in. We've all been there before, starting to fill up, and it's a beautiful sunny day in September to kick off the season. We're just already on cloud nine from what just transpired this morning. It's like 10:30, 11 a.m. And all right, we head down towards like the lower bowl area. Our goal is always to get on the field, the mascots, pictures with the cheerleaders, something like that. And
yeah, because if you don't have pictures, nobody's believing any of this story that you just told.
Right.
Dude, spot on. And so we get down to like the lower area, and there's like, most stadiums have this, if you can picture it. There's like stairs, like maybe 4 or 5 stairs from like where the stands ends to get down onto the field level. And so a lot of times those are protected by security guards. And again, guys, confidence is such a huge component to what we do. So Rob and I are in these tuxedos. We've got lanyards on, lapel pins, and we just go with a lot of confidence towards this security officer who's like protected the entrance area. And we go, hey, we're just going to walk down there for a minute. We'll be right back up. And he goes, okay, no problem. And he just steps over to the side and lets us down without even like second thought. We get down onto the field. We're hanging out. The head referee for today's game comes jogging over to us as the crowd is filing in. The players are warming up. He goes, I'm probably going to get in trouble for this, but I got to get a picture with y'all. And then he wanted a picture with us. And then we go over down just a little bit closer to the end zone. And this is where Rob just like, I don't know, something gets into this guy, and the cojones on this man are just unbelievable. So we're standing down there, and like the greatest, like I think they call it the most exciting 30 seconds or something in sports is when the Clemson team comes running down the hill. The balloons are going up in the air. It's a really cool scene. And so that takes place, and everybody kind of vacates the field, but Rob and I are still down there. We're hanging out behind the end zone, and there's like this National Guard. It's the ROTC program at Clemson, where you have these young men and women in the military outfits, and their job is basically just to do push-ups in the end zone after Clemson scores. So we noticed after the first touchdown that like these 10 students, ROTC kids, are out there doing push-ups in the end zone. So Rob walks over to the head guy and says, hey, if I'm overstepping, if this is like any issue whatsoever, please just let me know, and no problem. But would it be okay if we did push-ups with your men and women in the end zone throughout the game today? And he's like, absolutely. Yes, sir. That's exactly what's going to happen. And then he brings over his crew. He instructs his crew to like show us what to do and where to be. And next thing you know, like they're just piling it on. So Rob and I are out there several times throughout the game doing push-ups on the field.
Getting a workout in.
Yeah, get a little workout in during this.
Guys, those suits were not breathable, and it was about 95 degrees. I was losing
burning some calories.
Probably did over 100 push-ups. So how much they scored?
That was game 1 of the road trip.
So hold on. Let me pause right here. I don't know if you can. There's a way you can edit it and show pictures and stuff.
Yeah.
This is where's my screen? Okay, so that's us on the field.
Holy cow, that's crazy.
And then
That is awesome.
Let me find a couple of these other ones here because these were just because if you don't have the pictures, it didn't even happen. So
Right. That's
us,
the same. If y'all don't have the
us
pictures.
with Dabo's mom. Right.
The orange is perfect.
Yeah.
Y'all were lying when you said bright orange.
That's what this is what kicked it off. Like we were on that show and
Yeah, with the rings. Nice.
the rings and everything, and then Dabo.
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh. That
Yeah,
is just
crazy.
insane.
Again, we just walked right out onto the 50 and like
Just-
nobody's there. And then we got a picture with the cheerleaders.
That's insane.
The ref right here. I love that.
Yeah, the fact that the ref walks up and asks to take a picture with y'all
Yeah.
has no idea who you are. And
And
you're
we're holding up
officiating
the
it.
Tiger for his push-ups.
Sweet.
So, like, that's just an extent of what we do and how we do it. But I think, obviously that was a great day, and we could go on and on about that story alone. But I think one that fans have really enjoyed the most has been our Super Bowl story. And
Yeah, I
we
heard
just-
a little bit about that when y'all interviewed Joey Coldcuts a few weeks ago. That one is crazy.
Well, it's bonkers. And we just had a phenomenal Super Bowl. And every
Yep.
year around this time, Rob and I, yes, we love watching the game. But the week before, when they have media day, Rob and I think, just have a little extra excitement because it takes us back to when the Patriots were playing the Seahawks in what some consider to be the top one or two best Super Bowls of all time. Russell Wilson throws the interception on the 1 yard line, and Malcolm Butler's a hero. But earlier in the week, Rob and I, because of showing up early, dressing the part, bringing a lot of confidence, got a chance to interview Tom Brady and Russell Wilson and Bill Belichick before the game. And needless to say, we're not reporters.
The fact you said the cojones on Rob doing the push-ups, him actually getting up and talking to Tom Brady, that's insane.
Yeah, that's bold.
That's crazy.
Well, hold on. Rick's got a pair too because he was the one who did the talking with Tom Brady. And
Okay.
This was just to give timeline. The Clemson story was 2017,
right.
and then this one was like 2014, 2015 or something like that, Rick. So, yeah, that story's wild. I'll kick it off, Rick. You can jump in here at any time and just interject. And one of my favorite things about us telling these stories too, Chad and Ty, is like we have this one friend, Matt, back home, and he would always be around somehow when we're telling these stories. And he would listen to them all the time. He probably knows these stories just as good as we tell them. And somebody goes, Matt, you're always with them when they tell these stories. Like, don't you ever get bored of it? And he goes, no.
That's insane.
And he goes, the reason I don't get bored of it is because I know it's true. Every single thing they say is the exact same thing every single time. So it's completely true.
Right. Yeah. You're not making it up as you go. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah. So basically what had happened was
Right.
Super Bowl's on Sunday. We bought tickets, and you can't do it anymore. They don't let fans buy tickets to Super Bowl media day. It's just people, press and media.
Right.
We probably messed it up.
Yeah,
for
I was
everybody.
like, probably from the two guys that got in and interviewed Tom Brady and Russell Wilson.
Exactly. So media days on Tuesday. We fly out on Monday, and then we were like, you know what? Let's wear. This was right after Rick did the shenanigans at Alabama. So he's like, this suit thing works. Like, why
He's
don't
got a
we
little
just
taste of it? He's ready to just rock and roll.
right? So we got suits, right? You guys are 23, 24. So imagine rocking your first suit that you have, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have these suits, and then we go online. We get the Patriots ties on eBay. We get the Patriots lanyard. We get the Patriots lapel pins. We pick up some cheap lanyards for $5, and we're at the Phoenix Suns Arena, where they've transformed it into media day, and we were just gonna walk in like normal fans. We bought $25 tickets, $30 tickets to sit in the lower bowl, and then they'll give you a headset to listen to or something like that. I forget exactly how it worked out, but we're about to walk in, and it's 8:00 in the morning. Everybody's dressed in Seahawks and Patriots gear. We stick out like a sore thumb. My brother brought a microphone, and he proceeded. This is how genius Rick is. genius or psychotic, whichever way you look at it. He like was like, when we were coming up with this idea, he just goes, I'm not going to put ESPN or Fox or anything big on the box around the microphone. I'm just going to print out the logo for that year and go neutral. And like, that was such a clutch move, because if someone saw us with like an ESPN mic, they would have been like, you don't work for ESPN. Like, where do you get it? So Rick had a microphone that had a wire that was attached to nothing, literally just ran into his side coat pocket. I was just walking around with a mic the whole time. And this security guard, like, again, this will never happen. And this, like, when I share this story and people are like, aren't you like, where'd you get in trouble? I go, it's not my fault. Literally a security guard escorted us around the stadium.
It was like when we were down in Houston a few years ago.
Yeah, exactly. They let me on the bus and I walked in. I mean, I wasn't sneaking in.
Yeah. And people are always like, you sneak into these events. And I'm like, there is no sneaking involved. Like, we're not hiding in Gatorade containers and like somehow magically appearing.
You're in the brightest colored clothes known to man, and you stick out like
the
crazy.
Exact opposite.
You're bringing attention on yourselves. That usually makes it easier in these cases.
So the security guard comes up to us and goes, hey guys, media entrance is on the other side of the stadium. And we're like, oh, we don't know where that is. He goes, don't worry, I'll take you over there. So now we have an escort around the stadium, and I'm like grabbing Rick, and Rick's cool. Rick's like as cool as the other side as the pillow, right? And I'm freaking out. I'm like, dude, is this really happening? And he's like, dude, just let it happen. Just go with it. Go with it. And like, we're like, all right, whatever. And we follow this guy, and he walks us through the metal detector in that area. He's like, you guys are good right here. And then there was like an 80-year-old security guard that, asked Rick, like, do you want me to calibrate your microphone? And Rick's like,
it's just attached to nothing in his pocket.
Just like plugs into my phone. And the guy was like, wait, what? And you got to remember, this is like 2014. So technology was a little bit, basic.
He's rocking an iPhone like 3S or something.
He's rocking like a BlackBerry. Right. And so anyway, he's like, all right, whatever. And like, nobody asked for our credentials. We just like put our stuff in the metal detector and walked right in. We saw some state troopers. We're like, hey guys, thanks for your service. And then walked right by them. And by the way, the lanyard, like, I have to tell you, the lanyard for this is like a license plate. Like, it's the size of like this like pad right here.
Yeah.
And it has, your face on it. And it's got like a barcode and all this stuff. And so we just walk right in, and this woman greets us, and she goes, hey guys, I know you're running a little bit late. There's 2 ways to get down onto the field. You can either go down the lower bowl section, or you can go to the service elevator. And we're like, all right, cool. Great information. Right. And then Rick, you could take it from here on how we did this.
Sure. So the stadium's pretty much not filled at all. Like, they haven't yet opened up the gates to the fans, but they've opened them up to the media. So you've got some media people mulling around down on the floor where the players will eventually be. You've got some media walking the concourse area where they sell concessions. And there's an area dedicated to the media that's like tables with donuts and coffee and breakfast kind of stuff. So Rob and I jump over there, and like, again, we want to blend in. So we grab some donuts. I don't even drink coffee, but I grabbed a coffee. And so we're walking around, and we're like, how are we going to get down there? And so we were like, wait a second. That woman was like, you can walk down the lower bowl. So let's try that. And we walk down the steps as if you're walking down to the first row. And we go to walk on the field, and this big bouncer, intimidating looking guy's like, hey guys, can I see some credentials? And we were like, some BS story. We were just like, no, we're waiting to meet our boss. We don't have him yet. And like, he goes, yeah, well, it sounds believable. It's probably okay, but I really can't let you down here without it. So if you could just go up there and just wait for your boss, that'd be cool. And so we go up there, and we sit up there for a few minutes. And while we're sitting there, we look over about 10 seats to our left is the legendary Sal Palantonio from ESPN and Ed Warner from ESPN. They're just chilling over there. So
hey, can I borrow your media pass real quick? I need to get down there.
Well, we walk over to Sal Pal and Ed, and with a lot of confidence, we're like, hey, Sal, Ed, it's our first Super Bowl.
Like we're long.
Good to see you again, buddy.
Yeah,
100%. And he's up down in us. Like, as we're getting closer, he's no look on his face, just looking up and down.
Mean mugging.
Who are these guys? Who are these fools? And so he goes, so who are you with? And Rob and I just on the cuff, we're from a small little reporter newspaper from New Jersey. You never heard of it. It's called the Asbury Park Press.
We just named like our local paper, like Asbury Park Press.
And he goes, "Oh, the APP. I know
Wow.
the APP real well. I applied there for a job when I got out of college."
Oh my God.
He's like calling you on your bullshit here about to call the
Exactly.
editor.
He's going to know Doug from back in the press room. We're screwed.
Yeah.
This whole thing's blown. We're done. And before we could go much longer, he said something like, "Yeah, I didn't get the job on the interview." And Rob said something like,
No. You said this. Don't say I said this. You said this. You literally go, "Sounds like our career's getting off to a better start than yours."
Oh, wow.
Meanwhile, we don't have any
Insulting the
career.
guy.
And
Damn.
Ed Warner just starts dying. He's like, "These guys are hilarious." And then Sal starts laughing. And then our go-to line was, "It's our first Super Bowl we're covering. Do you mind if we get a picture?" And we are
Right.
covering it, but it's strictly for ourselves.
Yeah. For friends and family.
Right.
Friends and family.
I like that. So we get a picture with Sal, and Ed Warner's photo bombing us in the background. It's fantastic. And then we're like, dude, we still got to get down on the field. Let's make this happen. We're here. They're going to start to let the fans in. So we're like, all right, what's the other way to get down? And the other way to get down was the service elevator. So we start walking the concourse, and we come across the elevator. And this would never happen again. There's like a 70-year-old man whose sole job is to check credentials as they come onto the service elevator. But the people right before us had just spilt a coffee all over this elevator floor.
Poor guy.
And this
What
man,
timing.
he is on his hands and knees cleaning it as if his life depended upon it. And Rob and I just walk onto the elevator, press the down button, and we go down. We're like chopping it up, like, oh man, what a mess. What a mess.
Oh, hate to be that guy.
Hey, make sure you get that over there. And so then the elevator opens up, and now we're down on like the floor level, like where the players run out of the tunnel, and we can see the light. We can see the like press area, and we start walking towards it. And it's probably like a 50-foot walk. So we're walking, we're like, holy, no way, we're going to do this. And then as we get about 10 feet from the floor, these two security officers just peel, and they cover, like they block the light. And they're like, "Hey, gentlemen." And we're like, "Oh, no, this is where it's over.
Oh.
Just so you know, there's no food and beverage allowed on the floor, so you're going to have to get rid of the coffees." And I'm like, "Oh, gosh, really?"
Man, this is only my first cup. Come on, guys.
Fine. All right. So we throw the coffees out, and they open up the gates, and they let us in. And that was the most nerve-wracking time because it's just reporters around on the floor level. The players aren't out yet. The stands aren't filled with people. So there are actually security people trying to like make sure nothing bad's happening and nobody's getting on the floor that shouldn't be on the floor. So that was the nerve-wracking like 45-minute window where we were just trying to like blend in. We had our lanyards tucked inside our jackets so they could see like the around the neck, but they couldn't see that there was nothing in the lanyard.
It's just an empty clear case.
Yeah,
that's exactly right.
Exactly.
So we're just chopping it up with different people. And like, I remember getting a picture. Rob and I got a picture with Michael Irvin. That was a hilarious story at the time, and Chris Berman. But yeah, we went up to these different players and coaches as they started to come out, and just with a lot of confidence, started asking all these questions that were on our minds that we've always wanted to ask them. And I remember one time asking,
mind you, Rick has the microphone, so he's actually asking like,
yeah, he's like talking to him.
Hey, what do you think of this? And then he's holding it out.
and there was one reporter who like was a legit reporter, and she goes to me, she goes, "How are you going to do a story on those questions that you just asked? It's like, how are you going to put that all together?" And like, so like reporters were starting to be like, "What's going on?"
Yeah. What did you have for breakfast this morning, Tom? How do you like your oatmeal? Like, we should random stuff.
Could be an opinion piece.
That's exactly what was going on there.
An opinion piece. I like that.
So we do all these interviewings, and Rick interviews Tom Brady. Again, it was just like stupid question. Like Rick asked, like, who's your favorite wide receiver to throw to? And Tom gave like a very political answer, like, "Oh, they're all great, right?"
Yeah. No, Tom, we want to know who's your favorite. Don't hold back. The fans want to know who it is.
Exactly. It's not Antonio Brown. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
So,
that's for sure.
But But yeah, so that was crazy. And then what was also wild is that moment where Rick was talking about we had to blend in. So we were just talking to other reporters because they're excited to be there, right? And we meet this one
Super Bowl.
Exactly. We meet this one reporter from Europe, this girl from Europe who's covering the Super Bowl for her paper back home in Europe. And then she goes to us. She's like, hey guys, like after we're talking for like 20, 30 minutes, she just goes, hey, are you guys going to the Super Bowl Media Day party tonight?
No way.
And we go, yeah, of course. Absolutely. 100%. Meanwhile, we have no idea what she's talking about. And Rick and I are just like, can we get your number? Can we just like meet up for a drink before the party, and then we can all go together? We have no clue where it is, right? So we do our thing at Media Day. We have a blast. We meet all those people: Michael Irving, Chris Berman, Faraday from the Golf Channel, and Tom Brady, Russell Wilson, everything like that. It was awesome. And then that was probably around 2:00 it ended. So then we went outside, and we had about 4 hours to kill before we had to meet up with this girl. So we killed 4 hours, did whatever. And then we hit up this girl, and she's just like, all right, cool, let's meet up at the hotel. And the hotel was where all the players, the non-actual players were staying there because they had the Pro Bowl or something like that.
Okay, gotcha.
They were playing it at University or ASU. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so we went to their hotel, and we're like, oh my gosh, it's gonna be so cool. And we have no clue where this party is. So we don't know if it's in Phoenix. We don't know if it's in Scottsdale. No clue. Right. And there's 6 buses, blacked out tinted buses. They're lined up in front of the hotel. This girl goes, hey, where are your credentials? Are you guys and we just go, oh, we left it at the car. No big deal. We'll be fine. And we got on this bus with this girl and her friend. Nobody asked for credentials. We just walked on with a lot of confidence. I think they asked for our names, and we gave our names. And we were like, yeah.
Yep, that one's on the list.
Exactly. Yeah.
Rob and Rick.
Exactly. Rob and
Rick.
Rick.
In 20. Yeah, that's on the list.
Yeah. I don't know. And then we get on this bus, and they're driving, and I'm like, where is this bus taking us? Maybe they're going to ask for credentials when we get to the place.
Now that's embarrassing. You got to take the walk of shame back out.
Well, I was thinking, Chet, it was going to be a walk, but they start driving away. Turns out the party's in Scottsdale. It's about 30 minutes from Phoenix. Jeez. I can see Phoenix fading in the background. I go, this is going to be a $500 Uber back to our car.
Right.
And all of a sudden, I'm still sweating. And all of a sudden, this girl gets on the loudspeaker to make an announcement on the bus. And she goes, hey, you guys are going to be working so hard this week. We just want to thank you. So it's at the Crow's Nest, which is this venue where a lot of musical talent performs, a concert venue in Scottsdale. And they go, the Congos are going to be putting on a free concert for you, which I don't know if they've done any music since, but at the time they had a couple hit songs.
Okay.
And it's an all you can eat, all you can drink. There's going to be former NFL players there. There's going to be a lot of cool stuff happening. So just enjoy yourself. And we get off the bus, and there was a cigar lounge. I don't even have cigars. I just grabbed a ton of them.
Yeah.
And then Rick and I were having drinks. Rick doesn't even drink. I was just having a great time. Rick had 20 ice cream sandwiches. And,
you got to.
And we're hanging out with Jason Taylor, Hall of Famer Jason Taylor.
Wow.
Picture with him. And then we meet Miss Arizona. So we ended up hanging out with Miss Arizona for, I don't know, an hour or so in the night. And then there was all this swag as you were leaving. So we have a great time, enjoy ourselves. And then as you're leaving, they had swag bags. They had koozies. They had sandals that said Super Bowl Media Day party on them. And my brother and I just grabbed as much as
grabbed all the bags.
Friends those for 3 years.
To our friends when we got home, and I
Chris
swear,
is for you. Chris is for you. Chris
yeah,
is all around.
Stocking stuffers.
For years, we had those at our house.
That is.
No, it was a great time, and we've got so many great stories and so many just wonderful memories from doing it. I think that's the biggest thing, that if we could encourage not just you guys but the listeners of the Sports Scramble, is to really just get out there. It's a little. First off, you got to reach into your pocket. You got to pay for some tickets. You got to coordinate some things. But all of us are sports fans. We're going to the sporting events anyway. Why not just take it another level? Like, just like get there an extra hour earlier, get a little bit extra swag, like whatever you got to do, and just be a little daring.
Live on the edge a little bit.
And one thing I want the listeners to know too is, like, Rick and I, we do want to write a book at some point, and it's like the 8 life lessons that we learned from turning nosebleed tickets into on the field experiences. And like, 1 is getting there early, 2 is dressing the part, 3 is just being really outgoing and friendly and like try to like talk to people and get to know people and all that stuff. You never know.
Don't be like suspicious sneaking around. Like, be like your neon orange suits. Like,
you walk right up to the police officer, right up to
say hi, how you doing? Be outgoing. And then one of them is just don't lie. And I know we said the thing about the reporting that we did, and like I think we've only ever said something like that. Like, that was one time, and then one time in Atlanta, but we were just like, you know what? Like, we don't want to do that. If anyone ever asks, and we took a stance on this, we were just like, if anyone ever asks how we get onto the field, let's just be like extremely honest and tell them exactly how we got on the field and see what happens. And I'm telling you right now, honesty, such a great policy. We had a podcast guest on a couple episodes ago, and we met at an Atlanta Hawks game. I was in town for the Masters, and I went to a Hawks game, and I just bought, decent seats. But then I saw there was like 3 seats wide open right behind the bench. And I was like, cool, I'm just going to walk over to him. And I sit down, and this guy just goes, hey, how'd you get these tickets? And I think he was like expecting me to lie to him. And I go, oh yeah, I've been sitting over there. I actually saw these were open for the whole first half. So I just was like, hey, why don't I come down and sit in them? No one's sitting in them for the whole first half. And he just started laughing. He just goes, oh, well, they're actually mine. My company.
No.
We couldn't give them away. And I was like, oh, I'm like, dude, like, can I buy you a beer? And he's like, yeah, dude, buy me a beer. He goes, and then it wasn't until we had him on the podcast, this was like 5 years later, that he goes, dude, I think that's why we got off to such a good start, is because you didn't try to come up with some BS reason. Like,
right, because he knew that they were his tickets, and that whatever you said, he has a reasoning behind.
And one of our first games was Michigan. We went to Michigan-Akron game, and it was like almost like App State Michigan when they blew that lead and they lost to him.
Yeah.
So Akron almost upset Michigan. And Rick and I got down on the field pre-game for Michigan, and we were took pictures on the M, which is another story in of itself. And then a security guard was like, "Hey, where are your lanyards?" And like, we don't have them. And he's just like, "All right, you guys got to get off the field. I don't know how you got on here."
Yeah.
So we got, and the whole time we were on the field, I was like, it's going to happen at some point. We're going to get the boot. So I just kept like looking behind us to see where maybe some open seats were. And there was these 2 seats, like second row. And I was just like, dude, no one's sitting in these seats. Like, if we get the boot, we're going right there with a lot of confidence. So we go there with a lot of confidence. And the guy is like, hey, how'd you guys get these tickets? And, they're second row at a Big Ten school. Right. These are like family tickets. Everybody knows everybody down there. It's the same thing at LSU probably. Mm-hmm. And I was like, do you want me to lie to you or tell you the truth? And he goes, truth would be good. And then I explained how we're on this 10-day road trip, and how we were just on the field and we just got here early. We were on the M taking pictures, and he started dying laughing. He just goes, oh my God, that is absolutely insane. And he goes, well, you're in luck. These are John's seats, and John couldn't sell them because they're playing Akron. So you guys can have them for the rest of the game. And we ended up watching a barn burner.
Yeah.
And after the game was over, Michigan ended up winning. But he goes, hey, do you guys want to come back to our tailgate and like enjoy some food and get some free food before you guys head to Lambeau? And we were like, yeah, absolutely. And so we went back and to their tailgate, and they gave us like all the leftover food, like packaged it up. They're like, yeah, dude, we're just going to throw this away. So like,
college football fans are the best.
They're the best. And they gave us all this free food for us to head to Lambeau. And we were like, kids in a candy shop. And, it just goes to show you, just like, be transparent.
Right. That's insane. I mean, the stories that I'm sure we could probably have like a 6-hour show and just roll with them forever.
I mean, the closest that Chet and I got to anything was whenever we paid $150 to go to a Pelicans Nuggets game. We sat courtside. That was the closest like we've ever gotten.
That's a heck of a deal right there.
Yeah, it happened to be like someone I worked with, and he knew a girl whose family had courtside seats, and her dad was involved in the BP oil spill cleanup, so he got like a contract for that, his company, so they were loaded.
Wow.
And they were like, "Hey, we're taking our private jet to Orlando because we don't want to watch the Pelicans play the Nuggets tonight. Do you want to buy these seats?" The guy was like, "Yeah, sure. How much?" And he calls me, he's like, "Dude, I got 3 courtside seats, $100." I was like, you don't have to tell me twice. We're in. I mean, New Orleans is only like an hour trip from Baton Rouge. So we showed up early. We did the whole thing, which I guess our tickets got us in down there when they were shooting warm-ups. And we're chopping it up with like Cam Jordan sitting next to me.
Yes.
We're talking to
that's awesome.
Well, I didn't talk to Jokic because he was like staring into my soul.
I talked to Jamal Murray. He like literally sat right by me. I was like, nice kicks, bro. He was like, thanks.
Jamal Murray's sitting next to us. I'm talking to Lonzo Ball, which at the time I was a huge fan of Lonzo. So it was like meeting like MJ or something to me. JJ Redick, that's when he was on the Pelicans. It was awesome. I was like, man, I mean, they had a ton of security. But like you said, when we showed up early, we were the only people sitting courtside. Like it was the 3 of us watching them shoot warm-ups.
Rick, you got to tell him the Final Four. That's wild.
All right. Well, we'll tell a quick version of the Final Four, and then we'll wrap up this podcast. Guys, it's been so fun being on with you guys.
Yeah,
we'll have to do this again in the future. And so I've gone to many Final Fours. I would highly recommend that you two find a way to get down to Houston this year for the Final Four. It's going to be epic. And who knows? Houston might even be in the Final Four.
There's a very good chance.
Very well could be.
Let me give you.
Hey, Tyler, I got a place to stay since I just lived there a few months ago, so we don't have to crash on any random couches.
Guys, that's a huge part of it. You need a place to stay, and a lot of times hotel prices are going to be through the roof.
Exactly.
So here's my recommendation: go to a Final Four and have a ton of fun for absolutely no money. All right, get there early. And the way the Final Four is set up is it's in these huge stadiums now. So like this year's Super Bowl is going to be in the this year's Final Four is going to be in the Houston Texans Stadium. So what they do is they add seats in and around like the field area to pack it in. And if you're sitting anywhere other than like really close to the court, it doesn't make sense because it's just like so small. You're so far away.
Mm-hmm.
But the stadium is set up in quadrants where the 4 teams' fan bases are broken off into quadrants. So you got, Duke over here, North Carolina, Kansas, like Kentucky. It's all broken out into quadrants. And what happens is the fan bases for the first 2 teams that play that night on a Saturday night, well, the first 2 teams, like their fans are there, but the other fans really haven't packed the stadium in yet in those 2 other quadrants.
Right.
And so you've got a great spot to sit close down. Now you got to get close down. My recommendation, buy some concessions, get a Coke, get a big bucket of popcorn. You got your hands full. You can't grab your ticket when you're walking by the usher. You just can't. So they let you through. And you go sit down as close as you humanly can. And maybe you say hi to Jim Nance. I don't know. You're of course, hey, Grant Hill, how you doing? Hey, Bill Rafferty, you okay, man? You doing all right?
You need a Coke? You want me to go grab you something real quick? Some popcorn?
Need a hot dog?
So that's what you do. You get down there, you watch the first game, and it's fantastic. You're in a great seat. You're sitting around all these other coaches like Coach Calipar, everybody. And then the first game ends. And the losing team is pissed. Like they just don't even want to sit in the stadium anymore. They thought they were going to win it all. They thought they were going to play on Monday night in the national championship. Their fans are out. And then the team that won is ready to go party. They're not really interested in the next game. I mean, maybe kind of, so some fans stick around. But for the most part, they're ready to go hit the nearest bar. So now the other 2 quadrants open up, and you can just switch on over to the other area that's wide open. And so that's my recommendation for going to the Final Four. You guys have experience in Houston this April. I would be disappointed when I look on CBS this year and I don't see you two sitting courtside for the Final Four. I'm just hoping I'll see you two there.
Well, we'll definitely try to make it happen. And you mentioned April. But if y'all got some time, I want to hear about your security guard job at the Masters.
Oh.
That's what caught my ear the first time I heard. I think I heard one of y'all mention it on your pod. I was like, did they just say they're security guards at the Masters?
If
That's crazy.
If you're all right with us sharing that story and going a little extra,
go for it. Go. I didn't want to take too much of y'all's time. I got plenty of time. Go.
Well, listen, one of the things that Rob was talking about was these life lessons that have come from our journeys. And I think one of the biggest ones is following up and how important following up is. You could meet anybody anywhere and you might just forget about them, or they might forget about you. But there's an art to following up. And this is translated into business. It's translated into personal life, whether you're looking to date somebody or get a job or whatever it might be, play some of the greatest golf courses in the world. And so Rob, and I'll try to condense the story a little bit, but Rob was, Rob, why don't you tell the story? You're probably better at it than I am.
Yeah. So you guys are probably going to laugh. One of my jobs in college was selling Cutco knives. And I was one of the top sales reps in the company history. No joke.
Okay, there you go.
I sold like $500,000 worth of Cutco in
a lot of knives.
Yeah,
that's. I mean, those knives are pretty pricey, but yeah, that's a lot of knives to get to that level.
And I sold. This was years ago. I sold Cutco to this guy, and he bought Cutco from me, and he gave me his billing address, and I was just like, oh, cool, like Augusta. And at the time, I already went to the Masters, and I happened to be wearing a Masters polo. I didn't know this guy for any more than 20 minutes. And I was like, oh, man, yeah, love the Masters. And he just goes, cool. You want to be a security guard at the Masters? And I was like,
sure, man. Can you buy some Cutco knives?
I do that. And he apparently one of his like side jobs, like just a fun thing he does because he lives down there, is he's a security guard at the Masters for like the past 15 years, and he heads up this one area.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, I'll put you in as a referral. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm kind of a package deal. My brother and I have to go. And he's like, yeah, sure, no problem. So this was like March. He told me to do this. He was just like, yeah, like follow up with me next year. We'll get it all squared away. Follow up with me in November. So Tyler, I literally set like 50 alarms on my phone and all this stuff. And I followed up with him, and I was like, hey, like, I don't know if you remember me, Cutco guy, you know, yeah. And he goes, yeah. Let's get you all squared away. So we end up filling out all this application stuff, take a drug test, all these things. And like, it's literally like a $12 an hour job, which my brother and I both work in sales, and do well for ourselves. And it's just funny. We request off from work for 2 weeks to go to the Masters. And I told my buddy, I was like, hey, we've been to the Masters as fans. So we've walked the grounds.
Right.
We've done the cool stuff. And I kind of negotiated. And I was just like, hey, like, I really want to be on the course. Like, I don't want to be a security guard checking like, you know, like parking and stuff like that. Cause there are security guards doing that. And he's like, yeah, no problem. I'll do my best getting on the course. Long story short, for the past 3 years, 3 years? Yeah, I guess 2 years. I've been working, Rick and I have been working security at the practice putting green at the Masters. So if you come up to the practice putting green, that's where Rick and I work security. And so like my job is to escort every single golfer from the clubhouse to the practice putting green.
That is crazy.
And then like, you know, we patrol the area, and then Rick takes them from the practice putting green to the first tee box. So like, you know, literally if Tiger Woods is right in front of me, I'll be like blocking people from Tiger. Right. So it's pretty epic. And Rick and I were very fortunate to be there in 2019 when Tiger won, and we were on the 18th green, watching the last putt go in, and the place was just madness. Like you see those pictures, and turned to glory. So that's the story. And it's just been a blast. We're very fortunate to do that.
Definitely. Yeah.
And we've been doing it 2019, 2021, 2022.
Y'all doing it this year?
Yes. Yep.
Hey, well, if 4 people back out and you need 4 more guys to be security guards, you know who to call. I'll be there immediately. I'll tell you mine. We're taking sick days, PTO.
Maybe we can refer somebody.
Yeah. We don't have to bring the They didn't show up to the episode tonight. We'll just bring the two of us. Wade's actually been in the Masters. His grandpa knew somebody that had tickets, and they didn't go that year. But of course, he always says he wishes he could redo it to now because he was younger. He was like 13 years old. Didn't really understand the allure of the Masters and what it was. And now he's like, we actually had the cups in our college apartment. And that's what we would always drink out of. We had a party one time, and someone tried to walk out with that cup. Oh no, we were chasing them down the street. Like, no to go.
We became security guards at that moment.
Yeah, exactly. This cup is not leaving the apartment.
That was our training.
Yeah, exactly. I got an email today. It said Augusta National, get your package now. I was like, oh my gosh, what is this? I thought I somehow got picked for the lottery. It was get your catering package for Augusta National for the Masters. Buy your pimento cheese sandwiches and all that.
I may or may not have already ordered.
Rick, you already ordered. You already sent me and a bunch of people the confirmation order.
Yeah,
there you go.
That's already coming to the house.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the deal it wasn't that expensive, and just getting the memorabilia alone is probably worth the price.
Yeah, it's worth it.
I might have to order some for the Masters watch party I'm going to be hosting. We'll see.
I love it. I love it.
When we're down there, I'll grab your cell phones because I obviously have Slack, but we don't have any access. It's actually really cool. You're not allowed to have your cell phones on you when you're there. Obviously, you know that. Everybody knows that.
Mm-hmm.
But what they have are free payphone booths. So it's like a line of them, and you can just call people. So you got to write down everyone's number on a piece of paper because no one remembers numbers. So when I'm there, I'll have to pick up some swag for you guys in the pro shop.
Yeah.
And you'll just have to like Venmo me or something like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Because I'm always looking like every year around Masters, it pops up on Facebook, sell at Masters here, and it's like 4 times the price of what they pay for it in the pro shop.
We always go with like a laundry list of like a dozen of our buddies and what they want and the sizes, and then we just ship it out and square up after. But no, it's great, man. It's great. It's one of the most. I look at it as being like the most perfect place in the world, and what I mean by that is like even if you're not a golf fan and you just want to like enjoy nature and the beauty of like the trees and the flowers, the grass.
It's so beautiful.
I've been looking for years to try to find a weed anywhere, and I can't find a weed anywhere on the property.
That might get you kicked out of your security job. If you see one, just pull it and put it in your pocket.
It's as if somebody has hand-placed like the pine cone straw around the course. It's just like immaculate.
Well, so they got a course in Houston called Tour 18, which I think they might have one near Dallas. Like someone, I think these two brothers started it, and they recreate all of the top courses or holes in golf, and they have Amen Corner. And one of the guys I work with, his cousin was the course designer for this course, and he actually got sued by Augusta National because it was so close to how it actually is. Wow. So they had to change a few things. They had like the plaque and everything, I think, at the par 5. So they had to take that off and stuff and move the tee box. But when I played it 2 or 3 times, and the last time I played it, we played a Scramble tournament. We actually birdied every hole in Amen Corner, so I could say that I can do that. Maybe not to Augusta standards, but to Houston standards.
That's so cool.
It looks just like it. They have the scoreboard up from the last year's winners and everything.
Wow.
And it's not Augusta, Georgia, but it's like just there. It's beautiful. And it's like, man, I can't imagine what it's like in person.
Yeah. I love that. And, well, one day you guys will get there.
And just because it's so relevant, Full Swing is out. So
I've been watching that.
Series. And episode 2, you'll actually see Rick and myself as security guards at the Masters. Yeah.
Man, I'm gonna have to
go back and rewatch the second episode and just pause every frame. They show security.
Yeah, our friend literally recorded it and sent it over to us and was just like episode 2, minute like 2:22 or something like that.
That's crazy.
Wow.
That show's pretty cool. I started watching it yesterday. I'm already 5 episodes through. So perks of working from home.
Love the dedication there.
Yep. I was watching Tiger
there.
Yeah, 3:00. Boom. Turn it on my phone. People are trying to call me for work. I'm like, hold on, Tiger's playing. Calm down now. We'll answer these questions tomorrow.
We'll end it on your predictions for the Genesis this weekend. Who do we got?
Well, I mean, after like the hot start Max Holmes got, he won there last year. Was it last year that he won at the Genesis? That's
Joaquin Niemann.
That's right.
Last year, but he's on the Live Tour now.
Yeah, I don't know why I feel like Holmes won at the Genesis, but it was somewhere in LA that he won. Yeah, or he won a few weeks ago. But obviously, it comes out to a hot start. He's 7 under. Tyler, what did Tiger finish at? Was it 1 over par?
He was 1 over the last time I checked, going into the 14.
Watching Tiger, I want him to win again. Like, it'd just be amazing. But I know that time is probably faded. Now it's just the fact that he's out there on a golf course and walking is a miracle in its own. But I was telling the guys, I was watching it. Every shot is so stressful. As like a fan of his, like, oh no, don't do that, don't do that. Like he had the short par 4 that you can drive. He hit it into the bunker, and then good bunker shot, and then it ran off the green into the next bunker. I was like, oh my gosh, he's got to climb into a bunker now. But no, I think Max is probably going to get it done. He's having that Scotty Scheffler moment like Scotty had last year.
Yeah, we need him to. We have a future on him to take the U.S. Open.
Yeah, we signed up, and shoot, y'all have it with Belly Up on DraftKings, or was it DraftKings?
Yeah, it was DraftKings.
You bet $5 on the Super Bowl, you got like $200 in free play. Yeah. I said, Tyler, the U.S. Open is in L.A. Max Holmes' kind of home area. Let's take one of these free bets, throw it on Max to win it. It was like plus 3,600 odds. I was like, hey, let it ride. It's free money. Just see what happens. So, but who's y'all's picks for the Genesis this weekend?
I got to go with John Rahm. I really like John Rahm. Rob and I, we were out in Scottsdale for my bachelor party this past Labor Day weekend. Got a chance to tee it up at ASU's course and spend some time over there at that place. And just love ASU and John Rahm. He's been number 1 in the world time and time again. He'll get back to it, I'm sure, before his career is done with. But
definitely.
I think he's got a little something right now going on. It wouldn't surprise me if he hoisted a major championship this year.
Oh, I think one's definitely coming for sure.
I'm looking at the leaderboard right now, and I want to be different. Obviously, Homa and Rahm, I love. Like they're great guys, and we shared this with Joey on our podcast, and we were just saying, having the opportunity to be security guards at the Masters, we get to see how they interact with fans. Mm-hmm. And that's who I really like. And like Homa and Rahm are just like so great with the fans and the little kids. So it's like you can't not root for them. But considering we had Stephen Sweeney on, and he's the new putting coach for Colin Morikawa, and Colin Morikawa's 4 under today.
That's why I saw his name pop up there.
No, he just moved to 5 under.
California man too.
Yeah,
he just moved to 5 under. Must have birdied the 18.
He's T4 right now.
Yep.
With Matt Kuchar and Harris English.
Exactly.
Rooch.
But so I'm gonna go with Colin Morikawa hopping on the Stephen Sweeney bandwagon. Stephen Sweeney coached Joaquin Niemann last year when he won, so it'll be kind of cool.
He's got that new claw grip. I've tried to emulate it on the course. Doesn't work for me, but it works for. Hey, if it works for Colin, he needs to keep rocking and rolling with it. Yeah. And I was listening actually when Sweeney was talking about teaching Colin like the fundamentals of putting. And I don't know if y'all follow the foreplay guys over at Barstool Sports, but they did an interview with Colin back at the Tournament of Champions, and he was talking about how he's a professional golfer, and the last thing you would think is to learn how to putt again and like just understanding putting. And people think, oh, it's putting. You have the ball sitting there and you just roll the rock and you go backwards and forwards. But it's the golf just amazes me, the science behind it. And that's honestly why I'm so addicted to it now and getting into it and trying to, you got that one shot that always brings you back.
Trust me, he didn't know a damn thing about golf in high school or near in college until this year and like in a couple of years after.
Yeah,
he's got the sticks right there, though.
I added them to get a little bit of character in the room because it's just blank walls. I mean, we moved into this house a month ago and haven't had the opportunity to hang anything up yet.
It looks like you just got off the range or got off the course, and you were like, "Shit, I got a podcast."
Yeah, I almost went today, but dude, it's so cold here. It's like 45 and whipping 25-mile-an-hour winds. You hit a driver on the range, it goes maybe 50 yards and blows back at you. Tyler, who'd you pick for the Genesis this weekend?
I like Colin Morikawa too. That was my pick going into it. But I've always been a fan of Ricky Fowler, so hopefully he can start getting on hot streak again. I just feel like he's been close every year. So hopefully this is the year that he finally gets it done.
That'd be something. We're all rooting for him. That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
He's one of the good guys out on tour.
Definitely. Well, I appreciate y'all hopping on tonight. It was fun just to sit and listen. I told Tyler, I said, I got nothing. In my notes, I have what's the craziest place you've been to and what's it like working for the Masters. So we'll just let them roll with it and see how it goes.
We're not short on content, fellas. If you ever want to have us again back on, it'd be our pleasure to join you two and tell the rest of the crew that we said hi and keep up the great work, man. The sports scrambles where it's at.
I appreciate it. Y'all want to? We'll let you plug your socials and your podcast. Tell the audience where they can find you.
Go ahead, Rob. Give them all the ats.
Yeah, Brothers Brandt Podcast on all streaming platforms. The Brothers Brandt YouTube channel, Robbie B Sports for TikTok, and then Instagram. The Brothers Brandt. You can find me at Robbie B Sports. Rick's on Instagram too. I tag him. We're going to be coming out with some cool stuff on TikTok. That's where I'm going to put a lot of our stuff, and YouTube, and obviously streaming platforms too. But we're gonna do some golf content. I found the real life Happy Gilmore.
There you go.
You go on my TikTok, it's got like 340,000 views or something like that. Cool. So.
And I'm just working on a little side project with my MySpace account, so I should have that out.
Bringing that back.
All right, fellas. Good
Ricky on the beat out here. So yeah, definitely.
See you guys.
Yeah, appreciate y'all hopping on. We'll have you on again.
Yeah, for sure.